So, dual nature of radiation. So, in last class, we have solved one of the problem in dual nature of radiation. So, let us solve some of the remaining problems in this class. So, once again, we will remind the important formulas. So, according to de Broglie, wavelength of the particle is nothing but lambda is equal to h by p, or h by p is the linear momentum, is nothing but mass into velocity of the particle, where h is the Planck's constant. This can be also written as mass into velocity. How we will convert this will be mass into velocity again. H by p value, mass into velocity. Here the linear momentum p is equal to mv, but we know that kinetic energy is equal to half mv square. Here v square is equal to 2ke by m, or v is equal to root 2 over 2ke by m. So in this place we will substitute lambda is equal to h by m. V value is nothing but 2ke by m. On simplifying we can get h by root 2 over 2m square ke by m. We'll cancel this, then it will becomes root 2 over 2m ke. So lambda is equal to h by root 2 over 2m ke. So this formula will be used when they are given mass and kinetic energy of the particle. How do you calculate the wavelength in this situation? By using the formula h by root 2 over 2m ke. In similar way, p is equal to mv, or v is equal to p by m. So this formula is to find the speed of the particle when they are given momentum, linear momentum. When they are given p and mass of the particle, we can calculate by using the formula v is equal to p by m. This is for speed. What is the speed of the particle? Okay, these are the important formulas to find either wavelength or speed or wavelength in terms of mass and kinetic energy. So next problem, let us see. So what are the terms we have to remember in this problem? C value 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second, and Planck's constant 6.67 or 66 into 10 to the power of minus 31 joule second. Then 1 electron volt. 1 electron volt is equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19. Okay, we have to remember these values. 1 electron volt value, Planck's constant value, and the C, velocity of light in either medium or in a vacuum. So 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. These are the values we have to remember for solving the problems. So let us see what is the next problem they are given. So what are the formulas we have to use for solving the problem? So okay, note down the next problem. So let us note down. So what is the problem? The work function. Second problem. The work function for certain metal is 4.2 EV. EV means electron volt. Okay. Will this metal give photoelectric emission? Will this metal give photoelectric emission? Photoelectric emission for incident radiation. or incident radiation of wavelength, is 330 nanometers. Nm means 330. Nm means nanometer. So, what is the question? The work function of certain metal. Work function. So, given data, work function either W naught or phi naught. They are given. What is the value? 4.2 electron volt. They are given. Will this metal give photoelectric emission? That means what I mean by photoelectric emission? When suitable radiation incident on alkali metals, they can emit electrons. So those electrons are called photoelectrons. The phenomenon is called photoelectric emission. So in this situation, whether photoelectric emission will be possible or not. So this will be, we can infer or we can conclude after finding out solving the problem, whether emission will be possible or not. So okay, then wavelength lambda is equal to 330 nanometer. We know that 1 nanometer is equal to 10 to the power of minus 9 meters. 1 nanometer is equal to 10 to the power of minus 9 meters. Then 4.2 electron volt, that is 4.2 into 10 to the power of minus 19 volts. Okay. Then formula we are using here, work function they are given 4.2 pi naught value. So wavelength value lambda 330, 1 nanometer is equal to 10 power minus 9 meters. So general formula W naught or lambda is equal to H by P. H by P value will be mv. General formula from de Broglie wavelength, lambda is equal to H by P, or P is the linear momentum. So that is nothing but mass into velocity. So okay, mass into velocity or speed of the particle. So, okay. 4.2 into an electron voltage equal to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joules. So another formula, velocity of light in vacuum, C is equal to 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. This value we have to remember. Then formula for emission of energy is equal to h mu, or h mu is equal to C by lambda. C value is 3 into 10 power 8, lambda value they are given 330 nanometers. We know that 1 nanometer is equal to 10 power minus 9 meters. So substitute the values here. So E is equal to H value 6.67 into 10 to the power of minus 34. C value 3 into 10 power 8 by lambda value. What is the lambda value? 330 nanometers. That is 330 into 10 power minus 9 meters. So see the H value, C value and lambda value. So on simplifying, we get the value of E, that is emission of energy. Okay, here the value of pi naught is 4.2 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. Suppose E value, emission value is greater than pi naught. So substitute on simplifying, suppose if the value will be greater than pi naught, okay, the emission will be possible. Suppose if it is less than pi naught, so less than work function, no emission will be possible. Okay, let us so write the values on simplifying. We get E value Here on solving, E value we get 6.027 into 10 power minus 19 joules. Pi naught value on simplifying this we get 6.70 into 10 power minus 19. So E value is less than pi naught. That means emission pi naught energy value is less than work function. So no photoelectric emission is possible. So in this situation, no emission is possible. So once again, what they are given, the work function of certain metal is 4.2 electron volt. 1 electron volt is equal to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joules. Therefore, 4.2 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joules. Generally, what they are given, will this metal give photoelectric emission? That means photoelectric emission is possible or not. So how we can say whether it will be possible or not? So if E value is less than pi naught, no emission is possible. Suppose E value is greater than pi naught. What is this pi naught? Work function. So it will be, photoelectric emission will be possible. Wavelength is given in nanometers. 1 nanometer is equal to 10 power minus 9 meters. So what's the formula we are using here? E is equal to h mu. E is equal to h. Mu value is C by lambda. Okay, h is Planck's constant. C value is 3 into 10 power 8. Lambda value they are given 330 nanometer. 1 nanometer is equal to 10 to the power of minus 9 meters. So from this we can conclude that here E value is less than pi naught. So no photoelectric emission is possible in this situation. Okay, okay, you can move to the next problem. That is the third problem. So note down the third problem. What are the factors we have to calculate from the third problem? One. So note down the third problem. What is the A case momentum? B case speed and C case de Broglie wavelength. De Broglie wavelength with the kinetic energy of 120 electron volt. So what are the factors we have to calculate for a particle? Momentum, speed and the de Broglie wavelength. That means momentum. A case momentum should be denoted. P is nothing but momentum. Generally, P is equal to mv, mass into velocity. Okay, mass we have to remember, and speed. When we know the speed and mass, so we can calculate the momentum. Or one more way is there to calculate the momentum. So okay, here kinetic energy they are given 120 electron volt. We know that 1 electron volt is equal to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joules. 1 electron volt is equal to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joules. This kinetic energy they are given. So from this we can calculate first lambda. Lambda is equal to h by p. H by p is nothing but mv, mass into velocity. Okay, this we can write as, so from kinetic energy relation we can write it as kinetic energy relation, kinetic energy K is equal to half mv square. So v square is equal to 2 Ka by m, or v is equal to root 2 over 2 Ka by m. Substitute the value of v here, then lambda is equal to h by m, v value root 2 over 2 Ka by m, On simplifying, we get from this, it will be 2m square Ke by m root, it will be cancelled, and we get lambda 2m Ke. So lambda is equal to, h by 2m Ke. So wavelength lambda is equal to h value 6.67 into 10 power minus 34. So here we can write mass of the electron, kinetic energy they are given. So from this we can calculate the wavelength. So they are asking the de Broglie wavelength. How do we calculate the speed? Speed here we are calculate V is equal to P by M. So in this way we can calculate the three terms. So okay, one by one we will calculate. First we should have to calculate the momentum. How do we calculate the momentum of the particle? Or P is equal to root 2 over 2m Ke. These already we have solved. Root 2 over 2. M mass of the charged particle here, electron 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 into kinetic energy they are given 120 electron volt, 120 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. On solving, we get the value, P value here, okay, 5.91 into 10 power minus 24. 10 to the power minus 24. Momentum value, mass will be in kg, speed in meter per second. That means kg meter per second. This is the momentum value. Next B case, what they are asking speed. Speed V is equal to P by M. P we are calculated here 5.91 into 10 power minus 24 by mass of the charged particle here electron is 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31. So on solving, this will get 6.5 into 10 power 5 meter per second. Meter per second. So we are calculated momentum and speed. Next one is de Broglie wavelength. What is the formula to find de Broglie wavelength? C case. C case we have to calculate de Broglie wavelength. Lambda is equal to 12.27 by root V. Here root V is the critical voltage. In previous class, that from the experiment we can concluded that the Davison and Germer experiment calculated the critical voltage 54 volts generally if they are not given. So at the angle of scattering will be at 50 degree. So but here they are given the potential difference in electron volts 12.27 by root 2 over 120 electron volts, and the value on solving we get here the value 0.112. 0.112 directly will be in nanometers. See the de Broglie wavelength. If suppose if they are not given this potential value, we should have to take the value 54 because we will get the maximum number of value at will be operating voltage will be at 54 volts. But they are given here the potential difference 120 electron volt. So we can use the value here 120. So we'll get finally the wavelength 0.1. Conductor electronics. So what is meant by first of all semiconductor. So solids according to their electrical conductivity they are classified into three types. One is that conductor. Second one is semiconductor. Third one is insulator. Insulator or bad conductor. What is meant by conductor? Conductor means they can conduct the or they can carry the electricity from one point to another point. So in conductor, almost all metals like silver, copper, aluminum, iron, so are behaves like a conductor because they are having more number of free electrons, nearly 10 to the power of 27 per cubic meter. Cubic meter అంటే ఒక క్యూబిక్ మీటర్లో ఒక క్యూబిక్ మీటర్ క్యూబ్ వాల్యూమ్లో 10^27 ఫ్రీ ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్ ఉన్నట్లయితే దాన్ని మనం కండక్టర్. దే కెన్ ఈజీలీ క్యారీ ద ఎలక్ట్రిసిటీ from one point to another. Almost all metals are good conductors. Next, semiconductor. What is semi? Semi means they can conduct but partially. They can conduct electricity partially. Are called semiconductors. So in these semiconductors, the electrons, the free electrons per cubic meter volume, it will be only 10 to the power of 17 per cubic meter. So that means while comparing with the conductor, free electrons are less in semiconductors. That's why they can carry electricity but partially. So they are called semiconductor. Best examples for semiconductors are silicon and germanium. These are pure semiconductors. Pure semiconductors are also called intrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors means pure semiconductors, do not having any impurities. Intrinsic semiconductor or pure semiconductor, what are the examples? Silicon and germanium. They are tetravalent. Tetravalent means they have 4 valence electrons in their outermost orbit. Valence electrons are shown with dots. Either this germanium also having 4 valence electrons in their outermost orbit. They are called tetravalent. Tetravalent. So okay, electrons are silicon and germanium. These are called pure semiconductors or intrinsic semiconductors. Examples are silicon and germanium. Next, insulators are bad conductors. What are insulators and bad conductors? Insulators. Insulators are also known as bad conductors. Bad conductors means they are unable to carry the electricity from one point to another point because they are having very less amount of free electrons, 10 to the power of 7 per cubic meter. అంటే ఒక క్యూబిక్ మీటర్లో కేవలం 10^7 ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్ మాత్రమే ఉంటాయి. అంచేత అవి ఎలక్ట్రిసిటీని క్యారీ చేయలేవు కండక్టర్స్ లాగా, సెమీ కండక్టర్స్ లాగా. Examples for these insulators are rubber, wood, plastic, ebonite. These are all the examples for bad conductors or insulators. So according to the electrical conductivity, so solids are classified into 3 types. That is, one is conductor, second one semiconductor, third one insulator. But today our topic will be semiconductors. So what are pure semiconductors? We have already discussed just now. Semiconductors, best example semiconductors, pure semiconductors or intrinsic semiconductors. What are the examples? Silicon and germanium, both are tetravalent. So to increase the electrical conductivity of semiconductor, either the silicon or germanium are doped with some of the impurities. impurities. So what are the impurities? Impurities like trivalent or pentavalent. So doped with trivalent or pentavalent. That means adding impurities to the pure semiconductors is called, the process is called doping. Suppose if silicon, so it is a tetravalent, it has 4 valence electrons in their outermost orbit. It is doped with a trivalent impurity like aluminum or gallium. It has only 3 valence electrons. Here, covalent bonds, due to the mutual sharing of electrons, 3 bonds will be completed. 4th bond is completed due to the lack of electron in this aluminum, because it has only 3 valence electrons. 4th bond will not be complete. So the lack of electron is called hole. So the electron lack of electron, the name is called hole. That means in this combination, suppose if silicon is doped with trivalent impurity, more holes will be formed. So if holes are more, then it is called p-type semiconductor. In p-type semiconductor, majority charge carriers are holes. In p-type semiconductor, majority charge carriers are holes. Similarly, minority charge carriers are electrons. Majority charge carriers are holes. That means maximum charge will be carried by the holes, and minimum, that means minority charge carriers are electrons. How these p-type semiconductors are formed? Once again, if pure semiconductor, that means silicon, is doped with trivalent impurity, now 3 bonds are completed due to the sharing of electrons. 3 covalent bonds are completed. 4th bond incomplete due to the lack of electron. That is called, the absence of electron is called hole. So if holes are more, then it will be p-type semiconductor or extrinsic semiconductor. When we are adding impurities to the pure semiconductor, then the semiconductors are called extrinsic semiconductors. So p-type semiconductor is also extrinsic semiconductor. So in this p-type semiconductor, majority charge carriers are hole, minority charge carriers are semiconductor, N. Here, pure semiconductor, either silicon or germanium, a tetravalent, will be doped with pentavalent impurity. Pentavalent means it have 5 electrons in their outermost orbit, 4 covalent bonds due to the mutual sharing of electrons, 4 covalent bonds are completed. So even though there will be one excess electron here in phosphorus, okay, it is a pentavalent impurity. So excess electron, it can able to donate. These are called donors. So okay, electrons are more here. So if electrons are more, then it will be called as N-type semiconductor. Electrons are maximum. That means majority charge carriers. Majority charge carriers are electrons, and minority charge carriers are holes. Once again, pure semiconductor is doped with a pentavalent impurity. Pentavalent means either phosphorus, arsenic or antimony. They have 5 electrons in their outermost orbit. 4 bonds are completed even though it has one excess electron. So that means those are called donors. So in majority charge carriers are electrons, even the majority electrons will be maximum, and minority charge carriers are holes. Such type of semiconductor is called n-type semiconductor. This is also an extrinsic semiconductor because it will be pure semiconductor is doped with impurity. So when we are adding impurities, those are called extrinsic semiconductors. Next topic, how this PN junction diode will be formed. P, that means P type and N type. A P type semiconductor is sandwiched with N type, or pure semiconductor are grown, one type with trivalent, another side with pentavalent. A PN junction diode will be formed. Okay, here in this PN junction diode there will be one junction. So symbolical representation is the PN junction diode will be here. This is the P side, this is the N side. Okay. So at this junction, what will going to happen when P type and P and N are sandwiched like this? N type majority charge carriers are electrons. Here majority charge carriers are holes. So when we are join a P with N, the electrons from N side diffuses to P side. The holes from P side diffuses into N side. Thus means at this junction they recombine. Holes combine with the electrons. Here holes combine with the electrons. Here P side negative charge will be developed due to the diffusion of electrons. At N side, so positive charge will be created due to the diffusion of holes from P to N. So here the small thin region will be developed. It is free from mobile charge carriers. So this small region is called depletion layer. It is free from mobile charge carrier. The potential developed across this depletion layer is called potential barrier. Or barrier potential. This barrier potential or potential barrier stops further diffusion of holes and electrons. So once again, P-type semiconductor sandwiched with the N-type, that means a junction. At this junction, the electrons, somehow the electrons from N side diffuses into P side, and holes in P will be diffuses to N. So a thin layer will be formed due to the diffusion of holes and electrons recombine here. They are free from mobile charge carriers. This layer is called depletion layer. The potential which developed across this layer is called potential barrier or barrier potential. It stops further diffusion of holes and electrons. Okay, next, how can you connect this junction diode in a circuit? So there will be two positions, forward bias and reverse bias. What is meant by forward bias? If P-N junction diode, P side is connected with the positive of the battery, N side is connected to negative of the battery, then this is called forward bias. Once again, P side is connected to the positive terminal, N side is connected to the negative terminal. This is called forward bias. In this situation, current flows through the diode because due to the low resistance offered by the diode. This is forward bias. So forward bias. Once again, in forward bias, P side will be connected to positive and N of the diode will be connected to the negative. So in this situation, current flows through the diode because it offers less resistance. So this situation is called forward bias. So then what is reverse bias? Just reverse the polarity here. That means N will be connected to the positive and P will be connected to the negative terminal of the battery. In this situation, so diode offers high resistance, no current flows through the diode. This is reverse bias. So in reverse bias, P side will be connected to negative terminal of the battery, N will be connected to positive terminal of the battery. No current flows because of high resistance will be offered by the semiconductor. This is called reverse bias position. Okay. So diodes are mainly used for rectification. So in bridge circuits, and also they are used for LED, light emitting diodes. Light emitting diodes are mainly we are seen in the signboards for advertising purpose. So here rectifier, what is meant by half-wave rectifier? What is meant by rectifier and rectification? Rectification. What is meant by rectification? Rectification is a process of converting AC, alternating current, into direct current. That means conversion or converting AC signals to DC. AC signals to DC or AC into DC is called rectification. The device which is used for this conversion is called rectifier. So rectifier is nothing but a device which converts AC into DC. So generally, we are giving input as AC signal, we are collecting the output. So here we are collecting through this output signal through the load resistance. Load resistance should be denoted with R suffix L. So half-wave rectifier is made with a single diode, single PN junction diode. So and also it consists a primary transformer coil and a secondary coil. Suppose if we are fed a AC input signal to this primary coil, so during this positive off cycle, the diode will be in forward bias. So current flows through this diode and we will collect the output through the load resistance. So this is during the positive off cycle. So okay, this is a discontinuous pulsative. So during the negative off cycle, the diode will be reverse bias. No current flows through this diode and we cannot receive any signal through this load resistance. So here negative off cycles will be options. Again, this will be positive off cycle. This is also again positive off cycle. Suppose again for positive off cycle, this diode will be in forward bias and the current flows through this diode and we can get the output from the load resistance. So okay, during positive off cycles only it will be conduct. Negative off cycles it cannot conduct because the diode will be in the reverse bias. The current flows through this diode will be blocked. Okay, how do you calculate the efficiency eta of this rectifier? The formula power DC, power input to AC power output. So what is the value? 0.406 RL by RF plus RL. Here RL is the load resistance, RF is the forward bias resistance. So if the final value of this efficiency is 40.6%. That means only positive off cycles will be comes out. So negative off cycles are blocked. So the graph will be discontinuous and pulsative. Once again, what is meant by rectification and rectifier? The process of converting AC signals into DC is called rectification. The device which is used for this rectification is called as rectifier. There are two types of rectifier in our syllabus. That will be half-wave rectifier. In half-wave rectifier we use single diode. Okay, when AC input signal is fed to this primary coil of the transformer, then during positive off cycle the diode will be forward bias and current flows through this diode. We can collect the output signals from the load resistance. So we are getting only discontinuous pulsators, only positive half cycles we are getting. So during negative half cycles it will be reverse bias, current will be blocked. So we are not getting any negative half cycles because it will be a discontinuous and a pulsative. Okay, what is the efficiency? 0.406 RL by RF plus RL. Here RL is the load resistance, RF is the forward bias resistance. The efficiency of this rectifier will be only 40.6